And thank you, Linda, for doing this today. And I'm going to pass the baton over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Julie. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad that so many people have come, and I'm really pleased to be able to talk with you about this subject, mindfulness-based stress reduction. I think some people have heard of it before. It is a wonderful tool for helping us to manage our stress and to be healthier in general. Stress is a huge component of many chronic diseases and challenges that we all face in life. So mindfulness-based stress reduction is something that has really been shown to be effective in managing, not making problems go away, but in managing stress. And as the instructors I've had have said, it is a very simple concept, but it's not easy. And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brief overview. Since we only have an hour, I can't give you the whole program, which would take 8 weeks, but I'm going to give you a brief overview of what mindfulness-based stress reduction means. I will tell you a little bit about myself in case you're interested. My background is as a registered dietitian, and I spent many years teaching people about nutrition, but I also, at the same time, was practicing yoga and learning about meditation. And I discovered that there's a really important component of mindfulness in helping people to eat well. So at some point, I was fortunate enough to take this full mindfulness-based stress reduction program myself and to integrate the things I learned in that program into my nutrition practice. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on, but I just wanted to let you know a little bit about me. I've been formally trained to teach mindfulness-based stress reduction and also to teach mindful eating. So it all meshes together beautifully in my life. So mindfulness-based stress reduction is a program that was started by a man called Jon Kabat-Zinn. You can see my screen, right? This is his book. His foundational book is called Full Catastrophe Living. And this, if you're interested, this explains the full in-depth program. Jon Kabat-Zinn is a PhD in one of the biological sciences. And what he did was he integrated all aspects of mindfulness into a well-coordinated program for helping people to live more mindfully. So the benefits, as I mentioned before, of mindfulness-based stress reduction is it can help people to live in a different way, even if they have major stressors in their lives, even if they have major health issues, and it really can make a huge difference in people's lives. So we say one of his favorite sayings, Jon Kabat-Zinn's favorite sayings is, "There's more right with you than wrong with you." And I love that concept because yes, we all have flaws, but we all have assets too in our psychology, in our thinking, and in our ways of living. The foundation of mindfulness is meditation. But I will tell you one of the unique things about mindfulness-based stress reduction is that the meditation that we do is very simple, and it's totally non-religious, non-denominational. It's called a secular program. So I just want to let those of you who aren't aware of what mindfulness is or what meditation is, let you know that this is not an attempt to convert anybody to any other religion. Meditation practice is an integral part of all religions, even if you don't know it, and even if you haven't heard them talking about it in whatever religious tradition you belong to, it's there. People sit, They sit quietly, they quiet their minds, they quiet their bodies. And that's what meditation is. And we're going to do a little bit of that today. As I said, we don't have a lot of time, but we're going to do a little bit of that today. So let me just also define something else for you, and that is mindfulness. I wish I could see your faces because I'd like to know have a show of hands to see if anyone has heard of mindfulness before. I'm going to put you in gallery view. I can't really see faces anyway. I'm just going to go ahead and define it for you. Mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way on purpose to what's going on within ourselves and what's going on outside of ourselves without judgment or criticism of ourselves or anyone else or anything else. That's all mindfulness is. It's a very simple concept. And what mindfulness-based stress reduction does is it helps us to bring that concept into our daily living. And so that's what I'm going to introduce you to today. So for starters, we're going to do a very simple, very brief meditation. Okay, and then you will get a sense of what I'm talking about. Okay, so get yourself comfortable. Whatever position works for you is okay. I'm not going to ask you to contort your body into an uncomfortable, awkward position at all, because that's not going to work. But if you feel comfortable sitting down, that's fine. If you want to sit on the floor and cross your legs in front of you, that's okay. But if you want to sit on the chair with your feet flat on the floor, that's okay. A lot of the people that I teach like to do it laying down, and that's perfectly okay too. Whatever position is comfortable for you. And the whole point is to quiet yourself, okay? This meditation is really short, but it's a wonderful way to practice becoming mindful. And it's a way to check into our own lives and to step out of that automatic pilot mode so that we can bring ourselves into the present moment. That's what mindfulness is about, is living and being in this moment. So hopefully you're in a comfortable position right now. If you're sitting, have your back be straight but not stiff, and your head and your shoulders relaxed. Let your hands rest someplace that's comfortable for you, either on your thighs or in your lap. If you feel like folding your hands, sometimes when I meditate, I'll just hold my hands one on top of the other like that. And now letting your eyes close gently, if that feels right for you. If it doesn't feel right for you, that's okay. Just let your gaze become unfocused somewhere in front of you. And the first step of meditating is to become aware of what your experience is right now. From your thoughts, to your feelings, to physical sensations in your body. Acknowledging what is already here. Noticing what thoughts are present. Are they pleasant or intense or familiar? Letting them come and go without judgment or criticism. Becoming aware of feelings. Unpleasant, agreeable. Become aware of physical sensations. Are they strong or are they relaxed? In particular, noticing any sensations that are unwanted or difficult. Simply acknowledging them. Saying to yourself, that's the way it is right now. And once we've become aware of our thoughts, our feelings, and the physical sensations in our bodies, we've stepped out of that automatic pilot mode. The second step is to gently bring it into your breathing, gathering awareness to focus on the full duration of the breath in and the breath out. Becoming aware of sensations that are created as the breath enters and leaves your body. The breath can serve as a very effective anchor, a place to rest the attention, and a way of coming into the present moment. So simply take a few gentle, mindful breaths right now. I'll stop talking for a few moments. I'm so sorry. And now, taking the attention from your breathing and expanding your attention, allowing this awareness that you now have around your breathing to expand and include the entire body, holding your breath and your body in a more spacious sense of awareness, a sense of being here, a felt sense of the body. And as well as you can, softening and releasing with each breath out. And when you're ready, taking a bit deeper breath in, and as you exhale, gently opening your eyes if they have been closed. Now, I'd like to give you the opportunity, if you'd like, to unmute yourself if you have anything you want to say about how that experience was just now, or anything else, any questions you'd like to ask. So if you would like, anyone who has something they'd like to say, just unmute yourselves. I can't see your pictures, so I don't know. I can't tell you to raise your hand.
I'd like to know if, say we have an itch or we have to go to the bathroom, do we deal with that? Do we scratch it? Do we get up and start all over again from the beginning? Or do we just try and ignore it?
Well, you know, that's a really good, a really important question that comes up all the time. What you can do a number of different things. What you can do is sit with it for a little while. You know, if it's an itch or something, sit with it for a little while and kind of watch it, listen to it, and then decide for yourself, do I really need to scratch this itch or not? And of course, if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go to the bathroom, you know, so you do it. And you can, what we just did was a very simple meditation. And what you can do, if you have to get up and you leave, you can just come back and return to your comfortable position, whatever that is, and return to paying attention to your breathing. And that's all. And when it comes to something like an uncomfortable physical sensation, yes, of course you can move to get yourself into a more comfortable position. But sometimes it's a good idea to just observe your body, because sometimes feeling the need to scratch is kind of a sense of the fidgets, and it's it might be useful to learn how to quiet your body, so that if you feel fidgety, you can take a couple of deep breaths and maybe the fidgeting will go away. But everybody has it. And so don't, don't beat yourself up about that. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. Anybody else before we go on? Okay. So moving on, did you get the message to bring an article of food with you? Does everybody have some kind of article of something that they could eat?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, all right. Well, this is where my training as a dietitian has been so valuable on both ends. I have always loved to cook and always loved to eat. And when we talk about mindfulness of eating, it's part of an overall mindfulness program. The mindfulness-based stress reduction has a big emphasis on eating mindfully. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you chew every mouthful 50 times or that you stop eating. It's not a diet, but mindful eating can help people normalize their relationship with food, because our culture, as you probably are aware, is very diet focused. And there's many diets out there. I've taught them all. And I realize that there's another component to help people to eat in a reasonable, mindful way. And that is what we're going to try to do right now. Whether or not you have an article of food with you, it doesn't matter. We can do it with or without food. But what I'd like you to do is return yourself to your comfortable position. You can't really do this laying down, but sitting in a comfortable position, and come into your body and ask yourself, how hungry am I right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not hungry at all, and 10 being ravenous, you could eat a horse. Just ask yourself, take a deep breath, quiet yourself, and ask yourself, how hungry am I right now? And once you've done that, take whatever food you have with you, or if you don't have food with you, just imagine a piece of food that's small enough to be less than a mouthful. So if you have food or not, look at whatever it is you either have or are imagining. Look at it and ask yourself, does observing this article of food affect how hungry I am? It might, or it might not. Just observe it. Just look at it and ask yourself that question. Then, after you've done that, take the piece of food and bring it to your nose and smell it. Just take a quick whiff. Notice what it smells like. Have you ever smelled this particular food before? Just observing. And again, observing how hungry you feel right now. So you've looked, you've smelled, and now is the time for a taste, but do it with me. Wait for my instructions before you do anything. So take the article of food. Hopefully it's small enough to be less than a mouthful. If it's too big to do that, either cut it or break it. or bite it to make it small, like the size of a raisin or so, or maybe a little bit bigger than that. And when you're ready, take that piece of food, put it in your mouth on your tongue, and then close your lips and sit with it. Sit with this piece of food in your mouth. And if you don't have a piece of food to use, just imagine sitting there with a piece of food in your mouth and observing, what does it feel like to just sit for a few moments with a piece of food in your mouth and doing nothing? Can you relax with that? Can you breathe with that? What is the experience of sitting with a piece of food in your mouth? And are you salivating, noticing? How's your sense of hunger changed at all? Just noticing. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, take one mindful bite, one, and notice what changes inside your mouth. Just notice. You now can chew, and again, noticing what's happening in your mouth as you chew slowly and attentively, whatever that article of food is. Just chew it. Things change texture, and flavors change also as we chew. But how often do we pay attention to that? Noticing when the impulse to swallow comes up. Just noticing. And of course, swallow if you have that impulse. I'm not going to tell you not to swallow. And then finish your chewing. Noticing whatever it is you have to notice. Every person is different. Every piece of food is different. And that being the end of that exercise, I'd like to hear if you have any comments. So as we did before, if you have any comments, thoughts, questions, just unmute yourself and let me know what they are.
Even though my Wi-Fi cut out, I was able to taste much more than I usually do. I usually just inhale my food and I barely chew it. I don't take the time to actually think about the flavors or the smells or the texture. And this was the first time I've done that in a long time.
How did you like doing it?
It's slow, but it makes it much more enjoyable.
It does. It does. You can really appreciate your food if you eat it mindfully. And it's a nice compliment to your cook too, whoever is preparing the food. Yes. So I'm glad you noticed that. And this is one way of really being in a more normal, natural relationship with food. Instead of feeling like we have to restrict ourselves all the time, or feeling guilty about what we like and what we don't like. There's way too much of that in our culture. And I've, as I said, I've taught it to many people, and I know what it's all about. So thank you for sharing that, Emily. Anybody else have any comments, questions, feelings, anything you'd like to share? I have to say to you that in my work in hospitals, and I spent many years working as a hospital dietitian, I talked to many people who had reflux or GERD. And one of the first things I always ask people when I go in to talk to them about anything is, how fast do you eat? And I laugh, because I wouldn't laugh at their faces and I wouldn't make fun of them or anything, but I laugh when I think about it, because I can't tell you, when I ask that question, how many people would get a really sheepish look on their face and say, I know I eat too fast. I know that I need to slow down and chew my food more thoroughly. And it's even come back to me, people who have been readmitted to the hospital for various things, and I see them more than once, and they'll say to me, you know, my reflux is gone since I'm more slowly. My stomach feels better because I'm chewing my food thoroughly. Chewing your food thoroughly and relaxing while you're eating can make a huge difference in your digestive system. Okay. And also, if you have weight management issues, it really can make a difference too, because if you're tuned in to your sense of hunger and to your sense of taste, you automatically adjust how much you take in. And that's been proven again and again. And there's a whole movement out there among professionals in encouraging people to do what we just did now. We did it just with a small article of food, but you can do it with a whole meal. And you don't have to eat it slowly, but you can eat mindfully. So I encourage you to continue to pay attention to how you're eating. That's part of what mindfulness is. Okay. All right. So if there's no further questions on that topic, I would like to go on to mindful movement. Anybody done yoga? A lot of people around here who do yoga. Yoga was developed centuries ago by people who were sitting still in meditation for long periods of time and discovered that their bodies were deteriorating because they were just sitting for a long time. And so yoga, the word yoga, from the traditions that I've learned about, it means yoke, to yoke body and mind. And I show you this picture here, the anatomy of the tree, which is a yoga posture. I'm certainly not going to ask anybody who has not had any experience to do this now, so don't worry about that. But I just wanted to show you that being aware of how you're moving, being aware of what position your body is in, and whether it feels comfortable to you or not. And so I'm going to do a little exercise with you here called sitting yoga or gentle yoga. And I will have to say to you that although I've been doing yoga many years myself, I have to be careful as I get older not to be too pushy with my body, not to hurt myself, because if I do too much, if I stretch too much and hurt myself, then what happens? Then you stop doing it. And that's not the idea at all. So what we're going to do is just a couple of very simple yoga moves, okay? And I have to also tell you that if I say to do something, if I tell you to move in a particular way, and you either don't feel comfortable doing it, you try to do it and it feels uncomfortable, or you have experience knowing that if you move that way, it's going to hurt you, then don't do it. You know, the whole idea is to be mindful of what your body is capable of and how you feel as you're doing it. So we're going to do some sitting yoga. Just sit on the seat that you're on right now. And let's just try doing something as simple as raising the hands above the head. Now, because of my build, I'm able to raise my hands up straight and feel comfortable. But if you can't do what I'm doing, that's okay. Raise your arms and notice how it feels to raise your arms. Where do you feel it? I happen to feel it in my shoulders, the backs of my arms. I feel it there. And just kind of trying to stretch your fingertips up towards the ceiling. If you can do that, if you can only do it, put your arms out in a V, that's okay. If you can't do that, can you raise your arms at shoulder height? How does that feel to you? Is it okay? Or you could even just raise your hands in front of you at shoulder height, noticing. That's what mindfulness is about, paying attention, noticing how it feels to just be raising your arms a little bit. And if it hurts, don't do it, okay? And if somebody says if it doesn't hurt, it's not worth it, I do not believe that. I disagree with that totally. So I'm going to put my arms down because my arms are getting tired. I'm going to give you a few other things to do. Again, if you feel tired or uncomfortable or something hurts, don't hold the position. It's not good for you to hurt yourself. Just back away and do it in a little bit more gentle manner. Now, I like to do spinal twists. Thank goodness my spine is fine and I don't have any problems with my spine. And so I'm going to talk you through a simple sitting spinal twist. But I have to caution you, if you have spinal issues and you've been told not to twist, don't twist, okay? So we're just going to sit on our chairs, and I'm taking my right hand and putting it on the seat of the chair behind my butt, just putting it on the seat of the chair. And I'm taking my left hand and I'm putting it on the outside of my right knee. Okay, so I have my right hand is on the seat of the chair and my left hand is on my knee. Okay, and then just very slowly, very gently, move your head around to look over your right shoulder. And at the same time, if you can do this, press with your left hand to give your shoulders and your back a little bit more of a stretch. So literally, we're twisting the spine from the head through the neck, through the back, and just gently encouraging it to twist and noticing how it feels to do that. Keeping your breathing normal. Don't change your breathing at all. And again, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, don't do it. Okay, so now we can just gently and easily turn back to the front again and take a breath or two. Noticing how you feel having just done a very simple, gentle spinal twist. And let's do it on the other side. So taking the left hand and placing it on the seat behind your butt, and taking your right hand and putting it on the outside of the left knee, and then just twist, turning the head, twisting the shoulders, the back, twisting, noticing how it feels. If it feels good, stay in the position. If it doesn't feel good, do not do it. So if you can hold it for a few more moments, breathing normally and naturally, do so. If you can't, come out of the position. That's all there is to it. Okay. Now turn around and gently return to the sitting position right in front of you, looking right in front of you. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to do now, See if you make sure your balance is okay. I'd like you to stretch your feet out in front of you. If you're sitting in a stable position, can you straighten your legs out in front of you? Whatever position you're in, see if you can just stretch your legs out, whatever way works for you. Stretch them. Notice if you like the way it feels to stretch, and if you don't, then put them back down again. When I'm sitting and teaching for a long period of time, I like to stretch my legs out. It feels good to me. And then flexing your feet, pulling your toes towards your head, if that feels good to you. And then pointing your toes away from you. And then bringing the toes back towards the head again. And then flexing them away from you. And then hold that just for a couple of moments. Noticing how it feels. Where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your ankles, in your feet, in your lower legs, in your knees? And when you feel like you've had enough, just bring your feet back down to the ground. Okay, so that is it for mindful movement. And I'm gonna, again, open it up to the participants here and ask if you have any questions or comments, concerns, feelings. Did you like it? Did you like mindful yoga? Not all yoga is done mindfully. Originally, yoga was intended to be done mindfully, but how did you like it? Any thoughts or comments?
I used to do yoga regularly, and then with COVID, my class stopped, and I haven't done it for 15 months, and really missed it. And now it feels really good to focus on moving my body again. I just haven't done it, and I miss it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you've had experience with it, and knowing that you haven't done it for a while, it's important when you get back into it to move into it slowly so you don't harm yourself. Find a good class that has a gentle yoga or sitting yoga, is what I would suggest. But I love yoga. It's so good for so many parts of us. And it really can help to improve our posture, improve our digestion. I don't need to preach to the choir. It sounds like you already know this. So I'm glad you liked it. And I encourage you to go back to it. That's a good thing. Yes. Okay. Anybody else? So bringing it all together is really how I want to summarize what we've been talking about here. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is a topic very near and dear to my heart. Everybody's got some kind of stressors. A lot of people have pain. Many people have digestive issues or chronic pain or chronic disease. When you practice the simple things that we've done today, it really can make a huge difference. I've worked in mental health a lot with people with eating disorders and with other mental health issues. And one of the things that's most wonderful and helpful about mindfulness-based stress reduction is when people practice mindfulness, it can really make a difference in levels of depression. Which is not to say that people don't need therapy and they don't need medication for their depression, but mindfulness can help people with their thought processes. Have you ever thought about your thought process? Thinking about thinking is part of what mindfulness is about. Do you ever notice how often you're not in this moment? How so often when you're doing one thing, you're either rehashing the past or rehearsing for the future and not really living in this moment. Living in this moment is where that sense of calmness and serenity comes from. Living in the present moment is really the only time you can really do anything with anyway. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this before. This is not news, but living in the present moment can really help to keep the stress levels under control. And that's what mindfulness is all about. There's so many aspects of it that I believe are helpful. Some people say that multitasking. When I was in college, that was something that we were taught, is learning how to do more than one thing at a time, and that, you know, it was the new up and coming way of organizing your time was by multitasking. We are now learning that doesn't really work as well as we thought it did. When people are truly focused on one thing at a time, giving their undivided attention to one thing at a time, that's when they do it much more efficiently and do it well. And then they move on. They've actually done research studies on the idea of multitasking or staying focused on one task at a time. Mindfully focusing on what you're doing in this moment is a much more effective, efficient way of living. So there's so much to this. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or concerns about what we've been talking about here? If you'd like to say something, just unmute yourself.
It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot. It is a lot.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
What I really want to learn is how to actually do that, how to live, you know, and exist in the moment, you know, without any mind-altering substances or anything like that, how to really just live in the moment. I've never been able to figure that out. And that's why I'm listening to you, because I just can't do it.
You can do it. It's simple, but it's not easy. I'm going to be doing another one of these classes in 2 weeks, and I'll give you more tools. But let me just tell you that it's simple to do, and what we just did this evening are the 3 key components of what mindfulness-based stress reduction is. Regular meditation. It does not have to be hours and hours. If you meditate doing something like what we just did, sit quietly, observing your breathing, observing your body, observing your thoughts, sitting quietly, that's the foundation. And if you do that as a regular basis, even if you only do 2 minutes a day, 2 minutes a day of sitting quietly, observing your breathing, observing your thoughts, can make a huge difference. Thinking about what you think, think about how you think. It's huge. Paying attention to how you eat, paying attention to whether you're hungry or not hungry, what you really like, and what you're eating because somebody told you you should eat it. When are you eating? Is there a dietitian in the back of your head telling you you should be eating at 7, 12, and 5 every day and eating a certain amount of certain foods? What do you want? Eating mindfully is about learning what you want and what you like. They all go together. And mindful movement, which we talked about, yoga is one form of mindful movement. When we do in-person classes, we do mindful walking. Have you ever heard of mindful walking? Paying attention to how you walk, how you step. I grew up in Bergen County, not too far from New York City, and everybody there moves much faster than we do in Sussex County. And one of the hardest things for me in learning how to do this mindfulness thing is learning how to walk slowly. It's one thing about paying attention to how you're walking. The other thing is you're less likely to run into people or things and get injured if you're mindfully walking instead of dashing from one place to another, you know. And there's nothing wrong with going fast, but if you go fast mindfully, it's very different from just mindlessly rushing, going everywhere. So I would love to be able to offer more of these classes, because I really believe I do what I'm doing because I really believe it makes a difference. It's made a difference in my life. Oh, this guy, Don Kabat-Zinn, he is a wizard. He is a brilliant man, and I highly recommend this book, which, like I said, it describes his whole 8-week program. And then there's ongoing things beyond 8 weeks. I'd love to offer more at the library, but come back to the one on the 26th, and we'll see what we can do from there. And you can, I should leave you my contact information. Maybe I should put that in the chat. Julie, should I do that if somebody wants to get in touch with me?
Yeah, if you can do that, or if you want me to do it. Also, what is the author? What's the name of the author of the book?
This book is, can you see this? It's John Kabat, Kabatzinn. Wonderful teacher. Can you see what I'm holding up?
Okay, so it does look like we have some of his, we have some CDs, some books.
He's a prolific writer. Yeah. So you have, I'm not surprised it's in the library. This is another one of his books that I happen to be reading right now. Can you read it? Meditation, it's not what you think. Meditation is not hard. It's really easy, especially when we do it the way we just did it tonight. Paying attention to your breathing, paying attention to your body, paying attention to your thoughts. But one of the things that I find is helpful about this kind of a program is that it's not judgmental. We're so critical of our own worst critics, and learning not to do that is really helpful. So, anyway, I do want to give you my contact information. Julie, do you know my information, or should I? I'm not sure where the chat is.
I haven't. Okay. Did you get it?
I found it. Okay, so if you'd like, I'll type. Does everybody know how to look at the chat? I'm going to type in my name. And my email. Linda J. Buckley, MSRD at gmail.com. And my number is 973-476-4413. So I've given you my name and my contact information. Please feel free to call me or to text me or to email me, whatever feels like it would work best for you, because I feel very strongly about what I'm doing here. And I'm really thankful that all of you came today. And I hope that you can practice some of what we've talked about today, and can come next time on the 26th. So thank you again. for coming.
Great.
Go
Thank you so
mindfully.
much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Go mindfully. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay well.
Linda, thank you very much. That was very good.
My pleasure.
Thank
you
you.
for coming.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay, take care.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And if anyone has comments, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'd like to do what I can to improve what I'm doing too.